And what blows my mind is what you've just described. It seems so simple and so obvious, when I know there's so many people that will be listening to this thinking, my goodness, like that's such a brilliant idea. And this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you, Matthew, because like you've joined us on NZHSP Connect live group calls from time to time. And whenever you have, you've dropped these golden nuggets in there. And I'm like, oh man, I've got to get this on recording because it's so good. You've moved from healthcare into quarrying, which are completely different risk environments. So what is it that you had to unlearn when you stepped into Blackhead Quarries?
Moved into a very different environment from what I was used to, whether it was from previous industry experience and stuff. But I think for me, the benefit was I didn't have to unlearn anything. It was probably more about just better understanding the environment that I went into. So the worst thing that I could have done was gone in there and taken something from a completely different industry and go, that's going to be fit for purpose.
Yeah.
So I actually found for probably the first 2 months, to be fair, I didn't go in with the attitude of trying to introduce anything or trying to do anything more than do what my mother told me, which was listen and learn.
Yeah.
Basically, looking at it was sitting down and actually trying to understand the environment I was in, trying to understand what it is everyone else did as a job. Because going from that healthcare, the quarrying side of it was very different in the work that was being done, but not different from what the work the people were doing, which might sound a bit weird, but a lot of my side of it for health and safety is it's not trying to change the people, but trying to get them to understand the work that they're in. And that was exactly the same for me coming into it with a different set of eyes and ears. So
Nice.
We can all put our blinders on and think that the qualifications that we have in our back pocket make us exactly who we are. But that's only something that helps, exactly the same as being a student at high school and university. They give you the tools. They don't actually make you better than what you actually are. I guess to put that same hat on, I almost came in as a student to this job because I had to be taught what this industry was and how this industry operates before you can turn around and say, why do we do that? How do we do that? And I may have something that might change things, might make something work for someone else, but I can't go in there and say that before I even know what it is I'm talking about. So
yeah. And it's safe to say that needs a healthy dose of, I guess, kind of like vulnerability in a way. Like you're showing a genuine interest in what the team are working on, but also in one way or another, you're showing to them that you may not necessarily truly understand what it is you're observing, right?
We had a stop for safety day 2 weeks ago, and I had the opportunity to stand up in front of everybody and have these conversations. And I think what resonated with them was when I used the terminology that said, I'm not here to tell you how to be quarrymen. You're here to tell me what it is I need to do to help you do your jobs.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I had a buy-in from 30, 40 people in the room versus the guy standing at the top being the dictator saying, this is how you're going to do it.
Yeah. Nice. And so as time's gone on, now that you're well into that stage of winning hearts and minds, has your appreciation of the risk within the industry you find yourself now in, has that changed at all since the early days?
I think I went into it probably more nervous than I did with healthcare because looking at quarrying, it's got that high risk department. WorkSafe's always there. You're constantly talking to them or you're constantly doing quarterly reporting. Versus say that the healthcare sector where you kind of were flying by the seat of your pants. No one was really checking in on you. No one was really asking you questions. So you felt like the first few weeks when you were being introduced to all these new people and these are good people to know and these ones will help you guide you through. All of a sudden we're actually just one big team. Take the whole, what is the regulator and what are they supposed to do? But they're actually there to guide us and help us. So I was able to ask them more questions than anyone probably would from a normal point of view. And the regulator was happy to talk it through, because all of a sudden, if we're working together on something, then there shouldn't be a negative impact. This is me going, healthcare did it this way, I'm going to do it this way in quarrying. And then all of a sudden the regulator's saying, why are you doing it that way? That's absolutely the wrong way to do it. My appreciation for it is more along the fact of, as we've touched on other ones, I've found this is the first role or industry that I've come into where the consultation piece has been very heavily driven. The whole team is involved in the process, from the guy driving the digger to the board. Whereas other roles I've been in, it's been one or two people at the top saying this is how it is, and then passed it on to me as the advisor to go out there and tell people that's how it's going to be done. So I found this quite healthy.
Yeah, really interesting. And so what, if there was one thing that was the key driver of that difference, is it purely because of the WorkSafe relationship and the focus that WorkSafe are putting into the specific industry, or is it because of the high risk nature of the industry itself, or maybe it's something else? Like, how would you pinpoint the difference?
I think it's probably a bit of all of it, but I guess one catalyst I think could be the controller in this is we don't have a lot of continuous change in the staffing that is involved in it. So when you hear the stories of people saying, oh, we've always done it this way, it'll be perfectly fine. We've got the old heads in the business, but they aren't the ones saying that. They know exactly how to drive a digger. They know exactly how to do it. Yeah, having to introduce improvements and having to safeguard the conveyors and work with them on that. They haven't found that as a negative, because it doesn't prevent them from doing their job. It just prevents issues from taking place. Now, the biggest thing that I've had to jump, or the hurdle I've had to jump through with them, is we've never had this issue before. Why are we trying to fix something now? And they're open to listening that it's not because it happened on our side, but quarrying is something that can be done all around the world. And if someone can do something on that site, then all of a sudden we have an obligation to prevent that from happening on our site. And that's been the benefit. I think the guys have a really good culture. I didn't come into something where it was, I'm not going to listen, I'm not going to do it your way. It was coming into a culture where they were already grounded. They were already listening. They were already making these decisions themselves. I am effectively the tool to help them complete that.
Nice.
And for me, that tool becomes the whole meaningful bit of leadership with health and safety.
I love it. And it sounds like it's quite refreshing to hear where you've got all of the various stakeholders and interested parties, and it sounds like everyone's very much aligned in terms of what it is you're trying to achieve, which it must be quite a neat experience.
Like I've been 5 months, just coming over 5 months. I've been in front of the board twice.
Cool.
I've been involved in 2 board safety committee meetings. I've been involved in monthly team meetings with every site that we have. So we've got 5 major sites, and I've been involved in all of those. We've had a whole company-wide stop safety day. And then we've had the monthly managers meetings where we're all talking about this. Now, health and safety is always first on the agenda, but it's not first on the agenda and only discussed there. All of a sudden, we start seeing it drop down like this. And something that I said in my presentation at the safety day was I kind of went in the middle of everyone. But we never sat down in a room with each other, and we never said, what are you going to talk about? What are you going to talk about? We had the idea of the theme that we were going to talk about. And all of a sudden, we started hearing the exact same pieces of information being said by all the managers, by the chairman of the board. And I had to say it's refreshing to walk into something where we're actually all on the same page, but we're not reading from the same hymn sheet.
Yes.
We talked about so I use the terminology, we are one Blackhead, we are one team. Yes, we have 5 sites, and yes, we do things slightly different, but my job is to go to that site, look at it and go, could you do this on your site and become better with it? If they turned around and said to me, no, and here's my reasons why, I don't force the change.
Yep.
I either just let it naturally go that way, or I go, hey, you've been doing it right all this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's a decision for me, but at the same time, that's a decision for them.
Yeah.
And I keep talking to all of these guys about everything for me in health and safety is the decision. Do I go A or B? Do I get up in the morning and put my pants leg on one at a time, or 2 at the same time? Do I take the shortcut because it's easier, or do I do it the way we should be doing it? And then all of a sudden, they started buying into that because they realized everything is just A or B.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, I love it. I love it. So you kind of you're steering a general direction and then enabling those at the coalface to make the final choice in terms of what works best for them. So good. I love that approach. That's really good. Now, you've talked about this in the past where you've got, on one hand, you've got severity classifications and one-page board reporting. So how do you give the board enough insight into the critical risks without drowning them in safety noise and data overwhelm?
yeah, I guess from day dot, I asked the question, what do they want from me? Now, I can go and do the same generic board report that I do for every other company that I've ever worked in, and that would suffice. My side of it is going, are you actually going to read it? Are you going to read all of it? And what are you going to take out of that at the end of the day? What I've sort of discovered is they don't want all the noise. So I asked that question, what do you want? And they gave me the key aspects of, they want to know what risks have come up. They want to know what incidents have come up. And they want to know what we're doing about them. So rather than do a 50-page board report with 200 graphs on it and 47 KPIs that mean nothing to them but everything to me, I broke it down simply to sending a cover letter in for a job.
Yeah.
This is exactly what it is that you want to know about. So you can give your 5 bullet points, basically saying this is how many hours we've done on site. This is how many incidents we've had. Reclassified some of the incidents, not the incidents themselves, but the severity of them. So yes, we might have a MTI, but what's the difference between a low and a high MTI? So I started going, if this is going to be a 3 and a 4, then all of a sudden the board want to know about it.
Cool.
If it's, I cut my hand, I had to go and get some stitches, the board don't really want to know about that unless that is a theme that is continuously coming up again and again, which it isn't. So all of a sudden, the only things that I'm reporting on that they need to know about is anything that is an MTI, anything that is an LTI, and anything that involves going to hospital, being looked after, anything like that. And then I asked that then what I needed back from them, is that what you want? All of a sudden, I think it was last month, all the other managers basically got told, hey, you can delete this section out of your board reports that they do on health and safety because it's all coming through my one document. So everyone is now, so if we've got 6 managers, we send you through 6 one-page documents. But all of us as managers now know that our information is actually being looked at, read, and we're getting the feedback from it.
That's so good. So good.
Yeah.
What an amazing result. And I think for me, the reason why I'm excited by that is it's such a great example of when you build a framework based around risk, you take into account what the intended audience are actually seeking and wanting. You then build the momentum and the trust that what is actually being presented is factual and valuable to the end user, so that the demand for more information, more reports, more, because I'm not certain that we've got this nailed yet. It's suddenly gone. You've removed all of that uncertainty. That's so good. What a great story.
And I think the other side of that is it doesn't look to the guys sitting in the cabs of the diggers and the loaders doing everything that I am sitting in an office just pushing paperwork for the sake of pushing paperwork. I can take collectively everything that they're doing out on site, put it into a one-pager, send that off, but then I'm not having to sit there for 2-3 days writing a board report. It is clear cut.
Yep.
Nothing that I say in that board report, I couldn't hand to any of those right now and say, I want you to read this because we're transparent with how we do it. It's just taking what they're doing on the day-to-day stuff and putting it into a piece of paper for the top people in the company to read.
Yeah, so but freeing up your time so that you can then do even more epic stuff. Because I know you mentioned that you rebuilt the pre-start approach, so it became site-specific and useful rather than generic. It's something I think you picked up on in the early days. So what was broken about that old approach, and what did you do to change it?
I don't think that it was so much broken. It was old. And they were just starting to transition away from doing it on an old piece of paper. I like the fact that everyone's happy to adapt this new technology approach because it's real data in real time. So we've started using safety culture as a piece of software that we can use. Everything's in there. All of our assets are in there. We can track everything from daily pre-starts to vehicle pre-starts right through. So rather, I noticed that although it's a regulatory requirement, it almost was becoming a tick box exercise. And everyone was going through and going, yep, we're all good, yep. But I was getting no useful information in regards to any of the text boxes that could be filled in. So I go into technology. All of a sudden, when it says to someone, is your bunding half the tire height of the largest vehicle that's on site? Rather than ticking a box that says yes, all of a sudden I just turn a button on that says it's mandatory that I have a photo for that. So then all of a sudden for a week, I get photos of bunding all around the sites. Then you can do the same for your vehicle pre-starts. You can turn around and go, what we didn't have was we weren't recording the amount of vehicle hours. So then all of a sudden, services weren't getting done exactly on time. So just change it, add that one thing in. So all of a sudden, they can't just have a tick box. They've got to go through and go, that one has to be unique every time I open this up. But then I spoke to the managers and said, what do you like about this? And they says, we don't mind doing it. It's regs, we have to do it. And I said, yeah, but is it working for you? Can it be easier? And he goes, it could be easier. There's so much in here that's irrelevant to my site. And I went, cool, let's do it together. So he had his iPad. He was walking around doing that. And he was explaining to me, I don't need to do this question. He says, it's all about sand and I don't have sand on my plant. And I went, okay. Delete question. So I'm walking around with my iPad and I'm editing the template as we go around.
Cool.
And then we go to the next one. He says, I don't have that product on site. I don't have this on site. So now our biggest site that's been open for 20, 30 years, I think 20 years with the same manager. All of a sudden, I've now made that unique for him. And what I've noticed is every day I get his report and it's always completed before 8 o'clock in the morning. Because he can go in there and he doesn't feel, I'm going to go and answer that same damn question about sand that I don't deal with. And so once I finished that for him, I went, this can't just be something that you're facing. So I went to one of our other sites and I asked that question. He goes, don't get me started. He says, my site is only related to sand and I get all these questions about stones. So I had to build a completely separate one for him. And I said, I'd much rather spend 2 hours sitting here building the right report for you if you are going to go and do it. And then, since then we've gone from, over the last 3 months, we went from 210 inspections getting done by all of our staff to 250 the month before last. And then last month we went to 318.
Wow. How good.
So
Love that.
I'm getting better data. I'm getting better understanding.
Yeah.
I know the guys want to use the software,
Yeah.
but I had to make it easier for them.
Yeah.
So the only way to make it easy, like originally they're walking around going, oh, which asset is this? And they were going through a whole list of about 30 or 40 assets to find which truck they were using. So
Yeah.
how do we make it easier?
Yeah.
We go and get one of these lovely little QR codes.
Yeah.
It's got the asset number on it. They
Cool.
scan it.
Mhm.
And as soon as they scan it, it opens that form up and says, this is the form to complete.
Cool.
So taking all the questions out of it, my job's to sit there and do paperwork.
Mm.
Their job is to sit in a cab and produce rock and produce sand and do all of this. So
Yep.
I've made it easier for them,
Mhm.
which in turn has made it easier for the business.
Yeah, that's so good. Because when you first started explaining your approach, particularly around forcing the user to have to take a photo of that specific question, I was thinking, how good. Like, you've put a deliberate friction point to force them to stop and to actually get out and to take the action you really want them to do. But then on the other hand, like, in a much bigger dose, you've removed so much friction from the whole reporting process for them all by taking the time to get to know what their pain points are, and then in real time making the adjustments specifically to individual sites or even people. Like, just so good. And what blows my mind is what you've just described. It seems so simple and so obvious, when I know there's so many people that will be listening to this thinking, my goodness, like, that's such a brilliant idea. And this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you, Matthew, because, like, you've joined us on NZHSP Connect live group calls from time to time. And whenever you have, you've dropped these golden nuggets in there. And I'm like, oh man, I've got to get this on recording, because it's so good. So good. And so, because I was going to ask you, and it kind of falls neatly into how you've just described that, because I've heard you say this in the past, where, like, the standard we walk past is the standard that we're willing to accept, right? And so in that high risk environment, like quarrying, how do you build that trust that's required for people to speak up, to stop work, or even challenge those decisions? And you certainly partly answered it already, but I would love to explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, it was a quote that I actually picked up from, I think it was a reporter who used to do TVNZ News. And it was something that I thought, no matter what you do, it's something that you can take with you. I don't think it matters what position you hold within a company, but certainly your position within the company can set that standard. So if we use a board member, a general manager, a site manager, myself, if we walk past something and we go, that guarding's damaged, or hey, that's not great on the housekeeping, that person's not wearing their high-vis vests. Yes, they're still doing their job perfectly fine, but they're not wearing their vest.
Yeah.
We walk past that, and if we don't say something, and it could be a very simple question comment, it can just be, hey, awesome work today, just noticed you're not wearing your PPE gear, can you just chuck that on? If I don't do that, then all of a sudden I allow the next person to walk past that person and think it's fine not to say anything.
Yeah.
And it can be tough because it looks like you're being negative Nelly, and everyone puts that stigma on you. You're the health and safety guy walking around telling us the do's and the don'ts.
Yeah.
But it's not, because from a business point of view, take health and safety out of it. Business point of view, if you continue to let that be the standard, you continue to let that be the downfall. So we try to get all workers to assume their own responsibility. Now, that gives a level of practicality. We tell people that everything is in there, and you have to risk assess it now. Now, if someone wants to tell me, hey, I'm not wearing my day glow and here's my reason for it, as long as that fits into what they're doing and the task they're doing and things like that, that's fully acceptable. But I don't know that unless I engage with them. Standards is a tricky one, because someone new coming into something, how was it someone said to me? They said, the standard that you leave something at the end of the day is the standard the person in the morning works from.
Man.
Now, you can take that into retail, you can take that into quarrying, healthcare, anything like that. So the way I leave my desk at the end of the day, is that the way I want to start my shift the next day? So I have a clean desk policy personally for myself. When I start my day the next day, I start on a clean slate.
Nice.
That's what I want for them to do as well, is go, I'm not going to let that be the standard. So if I see something that's damaged, I'm either going to take it out of action or I'm going to raise it up the flagpole. Part of the reason of bringing that new technology in, we had a guy go, oh, I've got a bulge on my tire. He took a photo of it. He put it through the app. He created an action that went straight to his manager. His manager arranged that day for the guy to come and do the tire replacement. Turned out to be a bigger issue than just a tire needing done. There was actually some internal stuff that had gone on it.
Yeah.
And now we have a fully working machine back on operation. Now, if he decided not to do anything about it that day, and that blew, now that piece of machinery is out of action for 2 weeks, all of a sudden, our standard of working drops because we're down a machine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if they walk past it, they're probably creating a bigger headache for themselves. So it's trying to just get them comfortable to speak up.
Yeah.
The other side is every time you reward someone for all the work they're doing, hey, great work, fantastic work, but you're forgetting about the issue, then all of a sudden, when you hit them on the issue, all of their good work goes out. But if you address it at the time, it's all positive.
And I've seen it myself where someone who has not had any engagement with the message deliverer at all, when something goes wrong and suddenly it's the first time they've been spoken to, it always goes down like a cup of cold sick, to be honest. But if there's that established relationship where there's the positive and the negatives routinely getting fed back, you're halfway there. So just out of interest, so that particular experience with the tire, was that positive outcome, was that then shared back to the individual and the wider team?
We haven't, it's only just happened, which is a bonus. So we've shared it back to the individual who found it and the manager who acted on it.
Okay.
Basically tried to explain, this is why we've got the system. I get a notification to say that you've got a piece of machinery that needs fixed. But did I pick up a phone and did I get onto you and say this needs done? No, because we have a process.
Yep.
It's happened. Congrats to your guy for finding it and raising it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome work by you for actioning it within 24 hours and getting it resolved. So now what we need to do with that is we need to not go out with a safety alert, but go out to all the teams and say, here's a positive story about why we're proactive on our maintenance, why we look for these things, why we do the pre-start in the first place. Now, if we had the same old generic template on a piece of paper, the guy might have gone like this and gone, yeah, tires are fine.
Yeah.
That piece of paper goes in, sits on that manager's desk, stays there for 2 days before he goes, oh, something wrong with that tire. I better get onto that.
Yeah.
So we're speeding the process up, making it better. And we've also come up with a plan of how do we get that information out there to people.
Yeah.
Now, I can guarantee, compared to any other site where most of the guys are pretty good, pretty savvy with technology and stuff like that, you can send a text, you can send an email, and they'll look at it and go, yeah, that's fine. Instead, what we've done is we've just gone out and purchased brand new TVs for all of the staff rooms. These TVs will just literally have all of these safety updates, and we can log in and add to them as they come through. All of our sites will get the exact same piece of information at the exact same time. They'll be able to look at it, and every 2.5 minutes, that slide will change to something new, and we'll just keep relaying that information. The reason we want to do that is it stops the whole piece of paper on the staff room table that gets covered by the person's lunchbox.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Or the newspaper in the morning. We actually need it in your face.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but again, it was no issue. I said, how do we do this? We came up with an idea. I didn't have to fight over budget. I was told, go and purchase 3 TVs
Yeah.
to get it done.
Yeah.
And so within 24 hours,
Mhm.
just the same as them with the tire,
Yeah.
we've come up with a solution and got it worked out.
Yeah. This is just an absolute masterclass. Like you're describing this as if it's like just ABCs, but I'm very confident for many that they'll be scribbling notes down on their notepads as they're listening to this discussion after you. Like, it's unreal. And what's really pleasing to hear is that the fact that you've won the hearts and minds of the guys at the coalface and also the senior leaders in the boardroom when it comes to accessing additional resources like TVs for the staff rooms. There's no resistance. It's kind of like, yeah, we see the value in this. Go, just crack on, get on with it. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Congratulations. I have to say, I think Blackhead Quarries are very fortunate to have you in the health and safety hot seat. So well done. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up this particular episode, but I suspect if you're willing, I would love to come back and catch up again just to hear even more amazing stories from the coalface. So thank you. Is there anything before we do wrap up? Is there anything else that you would like to share, or is there anything in your mind? It's like, oh, I should have said something along those lines.
No, I think from me, like a lot of sometimes people will say to me, "Oh, you don't know much. You haven't lived." I get that a lot because people look at me and go, "Hey, you're still young. You can't be the one telling me how to do it when I've got 30, 40 years experience."
Mm-hmm.
The biggest nugget I think I could give to people is health and safety isn't about trying to control people.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just understanding the work that you're doing. And if you have a genuine understanding of how it's done, you have a better chance of designing systems that will make things safer, work for it, and people will stop complaining about safety and they'll actually start believing in it. So, yeah,
I love it. Yeah, creating the conditions so that they take the direction that is ideal, right? So good.
Yeah,
so good.
The old path of least resistance.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a real pleasure. Thank you so much. Like, I'm definitely keen to catch up again. So Matthew, thank you so much for your time, for all the golden nuggets that you've just dropped. I'm sure people will be listening to this more than 2 or 3 times over. So until next time, we'll catch you again. And obviously, you're part of the NZHSP Connect community. So if anyone wants to reach out, you can find you there. And until next time, we'll see you again. So thank you.
Awesome. Cheers, Matt. Appreciate it, mate.
Awesome.